You know that for a long time, the Lebanese were called Syrians here in the U.S. It wasn't until almost World War II before they adopted the nationality of Lebanese. And the reason that happened was because of Danny Thomas. You know Danny Thomas? You ever heard of Danny Thomas?
Probably not.
You know Marlo Thomas? She's the hospital girl,
St. Jude.
St. Jude. There you go. St. Jude was started by Danny Thomas, Lebanese. He always told people, I'm Lebanese. And once the Lebanese, who always chafed under the notion of being Syrians, really, or Turks, they were often called Turks, they grabbed onto that. And so after, Lebanon declared its independence in what, 43? Ever since then, people have attached themselves as Lebanese. Don't like to be called Syrians, whether they're black or white.
You didn't tell me the origin of your family name and how did you change it?
Okay, yes, I know that story very well. My father, his name was Kmaid.
Kmed.
Kmaid. And he came over as Kmaid, even though on the ship manifest they had his name as Trod. This is his father's name, Trod. I have a copy of the manifest, and so he came as Kmaid. Now he was preceded by his first cousin Naja, who came when he was only like 9 years old. But he had his father and uncles and so forth, and also Naja's English was much better because he came at early age, 9, learning all the way. So when my father came, Naja had already changed the name. They wanted to use the name Elias. Why? It was the grandfather's first name. It was very popular, and I found this out when I went to Batuta the first time. You know how they know me? They know me as Ibn Tufik. You know, they don't know me as Rafiq. And why is that? Well, I figured it out. In an insular village that stays the same relatively for centuries, the names proliferate. And so there's lots of Kmaids. They're not hardly even related, you know. So when they want to talk about somebody, they'll say, you know, Ibn Trad or Abu Rafiq or something like that. They don't talk about the family names at all. And so when they came in the late 19th, early 20th century, the majority of the immigration occurred between 1880 and 1914. And between 1914 and 1920, there was none. And in 1920, they changed the immigration laws so that the people from the Near East and Southern Europe, shows you how racist the United States is, you know, they could only equal 3% of the total immigrants. And so very few Lebanese came at that time. Now the ones that were here, they strived to be assimilated, and they wanted Anglo names. And so what did they do? They chose, when they had the chance, like when you get your citizenship, you can tell them what your name is or whatever. They would choose their paternal grandfather's first name as their last name. That's why here in the United States you have Lebanese name Thomas, family name, John, what are the other ones?
Hannah, Tuma, so these
Yeah,
are the
whatever.
origins.
But the English version. Now, my great grandfather's name was Elias, and so they decided they were going to change the name to Elias, but Elias is not Anglo, so they changed to Ellis. That's how it got. So could have been lucky. It could have been Trod.
Goes well.
You know, so that's how it all happened. And I find this story is true everywhere. You know, people. When I wrote the book, I didn't know if anybody would like it.
Do you have a copy of the book somewhere?
Do I have? Yes. It's in my office.
You have published 4
No,
books,
Yes. Well, the fourth one's in works.
and this is the only one about Lebanon.
Yes.
So if someone sees the book, they can go buy it. It's still on sale.
No, it's pretty much sold out. What I'd like to do is do a second edition. But you know how much trouble that is? This would have sold well in French
Mm-hmm.
and Arabic. I couldn't get anybody to translate it. No.
Probably AI can do it.
I tried that. I actually wanted to translate this into French. And AI told me, look, it won't be any good. It actually told me that. They said that, it'll require heavy editing.
Okay.
You know.
So you just said something very, very important now. Very, very important. So imagine that yourself being from a certain family that has changed along the years, that has become kind of American. So probably we believe there are 16 million Lebanese around the world, but they might be double, of which families have changed, and we cannot go to their origins or search for them. So imagine how many there are around the world,
Yeah.
and to date probably there is nothing that reconnects with them and reunites them, because names have changed and things have evolved.
Yes. There's been also intermarriage, with other groups and so forth. But I have found, sadly, I must say, that even the Lebanese I know in my hometown don't know their history. They don't know the family. Who was your grandfather? I don't know. What name did he come in under? I had people, questioning me. How do I find out this, that, and the other thing? And so I told them, look, you have to know some basic things, otherwise you're not going anywhere. You have to know what village he came from. You know the village. No.
This is why I'm very blessed and honored, and thank you for welcoming me today, which will make a huge difference.
Well, I hope it's worthwhile.
You're the best. Thank
But
you.
Anyway,
In Lebanese we would say عقبال المية.
he said what?
عقبال المية. So I wish you 100 years.
Oh,
How old are you today?
I turned 93 yesterday.
Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you.
93. Geez, I never thought I'd make it this far. It's been a struggle, a bit, and the oldest sibling I had when she died was 90, and my older brother, he was like 85 or 86, and then my younger brother, he was 3 years younger than me. He died about 5-6 years ago. So, what I have a lot of things to be thankful for, you know. One of them is that I haven't gone.
That is clear.
You know,
You're so intelligent and very sharp.
well, my daughter told us, you guys got to think about going to assisted living, and so we said, okay, we'd go. We went there. I was never so unhappy in my life as to be with these old people.
So one just feels young even though we're over 90.
Well, you know, I was always active. As a matter of fact, I jogged until I was 80, you know, and the reason I quit jogging was I tripped over a rise in the driveway and took a spill on my face. And I said, you know, I got to be better than this. So I ride the bike and I lift the weights and so forth. But you know, sooner or later, he comes and gets you. But I'm trying to put it off as long as I can. But when I went to this assisted living place, my wife Lori, she said, "Oh, you know, you're gonna have." We're living in that big house. We have a 4,000 square foot house that we built way back in '98, and it's on a lake, and it's a nice property and so forth. But she said, "You don't have any friends." I said, "No, they'd all died off." And so she said, "You're going to have friends there." I went in and I talked to these guys. Forget about it.
Old people.
No, I mean, nobody wanted to talk about anything intellectual, you know. I tried to get a debate club going. Forget about that. The other thing is that they don't pride themselves on having social interaction. Social interaction, they claim. I read a lot of these articles that you can't open a website that has general news articles that doesn't have something about Alzheimer's or debilitation of your brain or whatever, you know. It's a very popular subject. I don't know if I believe half of the stuff that they write because they don't know what's going on.
You didn't tell me anything about the dog. What was your dog's name?
Rafiq. Rafiq.
No.
The dog.
Oh, the dog, Antar.
How did you get the name?
Well, the new dog is Abla.
Abla, Antar wa
You're quite a very, very, very interesting character.
I have a portrait of Antar and Abla. Where is it? It must be hung in my office. Anyway, there's that is a mosque.
Mm-hmm.
The gal that did that, she was Lebanese. She was at Carnegie Mellon University, and I have two of her paintings. She did the Antar and Abla, which I can show you that. But anyway, I've always been fascinated by that story, and I found that a lot of people know the name Antar and Abla, but they don't know the story. You know, that Antar was a black, born of a slave girl, and he was a fierce warrior and a poet. And he was never accepted. He was in love with Abla, but it was never to be, you know. How do I know all this crap?
I don't know. Nice. What are the things you still want to achieve before you leave?
Well, I've got to get my book published, which I have a publisher for. which is the hardest thing. That's why when I wrote my last book, it was in 2012, I said no more. This is too much work, too little recompense for it. And so, but when this is my sister's condo, and when we moved out of assisted living, there was no assistance there, and we were just living. When we moved in here, all of a sudden I got the urge to write again. It was suppressed, and so I never wrote anything so fast in my life as this book. Here I am, 93 years old, writing books. I mean, what's that tell you? Either I'm deluded or...
You're doing a great job.
But this sold out relatively early. If you want to have a best-selling book, you know what you have to do? You either have to be a celebrity, a politician, or somebody that has inroads with the media, because you can't turn on the media anymore without them bringing in an author. He's written this book. Oh, I read it. It was great. You know, blah blah blah. You think I could get that kind of a? Not on your life. I couldn't get that kind of publicity. You can't buy that kind of publicity, you know. And people say, "Oh, that sounds like an interesting book." They pick up the phone or they go to the computer and order it from Amazon, you know. But I was hoping that we might do a second edition, but nobody's approached me, so not gonna.
Someone approaches him. He wants to do a second edition. Someone will.
Yes. Because I have people that, you know, I still get letters from people, and that was published in 2008. Or was it 2007? One or the other. Anyway, I got a letter from a guy who was a university professor. He said, "I mean, this is one of the best books I ever read." I said, "Wow, that's great praise, you know." He told me how, he said, the way you express things, and the way he went on and on. As a matter of fact, I put his letter in my new book. I thought it was one of the better letters. So, what can you do? My father always used to shrug his shoulders and say, "What can we do, John?" Everybody was John to him, you know. "What can we do, John?" I said, "We do the best we can, right?" He said, "That's all we can do. Best we can." You know, he was a hard-working guy, my dad. He was tough. When I got out of high school, I had worked all the way through high school and saved my money. He said, "What are you going to do now you're out of school?" I said, I think go to college, huh? He said, "How much money you got?" I said, "Well, in my bank account, I have $600. This was in 1949. $600 was a princely sum, but it wouldn't get you through college, you know." So he said, "Take your money and go to college." And he says, "If it looks like you're making something of yourself, I might help you." That was my send-off. Consequently, I didn't end up going to college. I ended up doing all kinds of things. But anyway, that's the way he was. Did I tell you when he came back, I started to tell you this story and I fell off onto some other track. But when he decided he had to go and find the woman, and he did after a year, he was in business with his first cousin, Naja. And they had a dry goods store. You know what a dry goods store is?
Hummus, food, etc.
It's clothing and cloth. and all of that. They call that dry goods, as opposed to, I don't know, wet goods. But anyway, he was gone a year, and when he came back, he comes in late at night, and first in the morning he goes over to the store. It's closed. What do you mean closed? He's looking at it's closed. Where's cousin Naja? Gone. Where's he gone to? You know, he moved 90 miles away, and my father was left with debts from the store. He bankrupted the business, and he was really injured by that. I mean, psychologically injured. He didn't trust anybody after that, you know. People would come into the store and they'd want to buy stuff on credit. Say, no, he said, God gives credit. I have cash. So he had, I actually understood my parents. I worked hard at trying to understand why they did things the way they did. And it had a lot to do with the culture they came from, you know. And so it prompted me to investigate the Lebanese culture. And there's a lot I don't know about it, I'll tell you. It's different. So anyway, there you have it. That's my life story.
Thank you.
Compressed into about 90 minutes or whatever.
You even know how much? Man, you're good. Oh my God. You're so sharp. Wow.
Are you sticking to it or changing?
Yeah, well,
I'm gonna pray every day that God gives me enough sense and intelligence and perfection at 93 the way He did to you.
oh my, be careful what you wish for.
What's the problem?
I'm also a big fan of Lebanese proverbs. I have a whole book on Lebanese proverbs, you know, and every chapter starts with a Lebanese proverb in here. My favorite, of course, it gets to be more relevant as I grow older, and it is the proverb that says, "The anticipation of death is worse than death itself."
Wow.
Heavy, huh?
Whoa.
Very.
Yeah.